Back down to earth with a bump. After 3 games unbeaten, Annan were 1-0 winners at Stair Park on Saturday. A result which brings about big questions, and we search from Dunraggett to Drumore to find people with big brains to give us big answers. Unfortunately, they were unavailable tonight, so you're stuck with myself, Brian Martin, and Laurence Nelson. Brian, what was your overriding feeling, I guess, come full time on Saturday?
Well, I don't know, Carmen. I think, first of all, in the stands is should the game gone ahead right away. You know, I think if the wind's ever above a certain speed, I don't think the game should go on. I did say at the Clyde game when they beat us 1-0, that big game up at Clyde before the relegation playoff, the game should never went ahead. And I think it was about 40. I think on Saturday the wind was gusting up to 55. So, it's. I know people say it's the same for both players, but I find it very hard to criticise players after those conditions. We're beat again. We should have got a point, at least a point, because we're the better team. But once again, and as I said on Saturday, the league table doesn't show unlucky. It just shows your points, and it shows us in five. And it's just scratching my head how we didn't get something for the game, but. If you don't score, you don't win games, I'm afraid.
Obviously, Laurence, Stormy is going to get brought up. Is it a little bit of kind of sour grapes? So if we had won 1-0, we would be sitting here going, the weather was horrific, but we won, so who cares?
Aye, absolutely. I think it is sour grapes. I think that would get levelled straight at us, Cameron. First of all, I didn't realise we were going to have Carol Kirkwood on the podcast with tonight, talking weather conditions. I think you need to separate them out. I think Brian is absolutely right. That game should never have happened on Saturday. Any degree of sanity in Scottish football, if it prevailed, it would be that game's not happening. I think we then need to sideline that argument. Otherwise, it does sound like sour grapes. You asked Brian about his overriding feeling. I don't know if it was what I was feeling at a 4:45 on Saturday. It was probably pure raging, as they say. It kind of feels though as if we're finding a different way every week to get unlucky. As Brian said, I don't think anybody that was at the game could say that we weren't the better side on Saturday. And you just look at the chance after chance after chance, coupled with the amount of possession in the first half. I could live with it easier if Annan had had the same in the second half. But actually, I was trying to come up on Saturday, Cameron, with who handled the wind better. But I think actually what it comes down to is we handled being against the wind better than we handled being with the wind. And that left us basically being, ended up being a loser on all fronts, I guess.
Mhm.
I guess for myself, frustration would be the kind of the main thing. It wasn't a game where, as you touched on, Laurence, that I think it got to half time and there would probably be a lot of people in the stand that thought we're going to really struggle in the second 45 minutes. And Annan had a couple of shots on target before they got their goal, but certainly it didn't feel, and maybe this is blue tinted glasses, but it certainly didn't feel to the same extent, Brian, the kind of possession, the chances we created in the first half.
Yeah, you're right, Tommy. They scored in 60 minutes, and that was it as far as they were concerned. They didn't hit their shot on target, and I think they maybe thought one's enough for us, and we'll just see out for here, and they did. They did, and but it was poor decision making by some of your forwards on Saturday latterly. I don't say it cost the points, but you know, sometimes you see the guys running through. Like, Dolan was a perfect example. Lawrence said it in commentary. They had a Don on one side. I think it was maybe Toure on the other side. I can't remember. But James tries a shot for 35 yards. I know he scored the previous week, but and latterly, Toure got the ball to the byline, and I don't know if he's trying a shot, but Aaron Quigg was in acres of space, cut the ball back, and it's an easy chance for him. So, we definitely played better against the wind, as Lawrence says. I try to say that in comments, I get getting mixed up. We played better against the wind than what Annan did, but it's Lawrence said it was spot on in commentary. We had to score in the first half.
Right.
We just had to score, and it didn't happen. There was two or three one off the line. I think there was a couple hit the bar, but we had to score and we didn't. And as I say, results. It's all about results, and we didn't get results. And of course, the fans were angry again.
You mentioned in terms of chances in the first half, one of those that had a chance was Lewis Reid, hit the bar. I'm hoping Lewis is going to be joining us shortly. As you say, we had plenty of chances in that first half, but just nothing came off, Laurence.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian's the word he put in latterly, the chances that Sal had and James had latterly, it felt different second half from first half. First half, I would kind of let the players off the hook a wee bit because I think it was really bad luck, to be honest. You know, we had McManus's shot was saved. It's a decent shot and it was a decent save. Big Meatball hit the crossbar. That could have gone anywhere. There was one that came off the line. McKnight had one on target. It was a decent save. You know, it was like Annan. I don't know whether it was brilliant defending or they just last ditch lucky, if you know what I mean, in the first half. So, in a way, although I would absolutely stick to my guns that we really, really needed to score in the first half. Second half wasn't as big a worry as I thought it might be. We had to score in the first half and we didn't, but it did feel as if we were desperately unlucky not to get at least one, if not more, in the first half. The second half, I actually thought we did really, really well against the wind, but it was decision making. I echo what Brian says. James, I don't know if he saw the headlines or if he just thought, you know what, we've tried everything else, to hell with it, I'm going to have a shot, and it just didn't work. Sal, I thought it was a cross. He might have been trying to shoot, but actually it needed to be a cross at that stage. So again, it's decision making, but I guess you've got part-time players who only get a couple of sessions a week. I don't know how much chance they actually get to work on tactics. But again, come back to it, felt to me as if it was just another way of what different way can we be unlucky this week?
I think we're going to be joined by Lewis now, so we'll be able to put some of those questions to him, I guess.
Oh, yes.
Hi, Lewis.
How are we, guys?
All right, Lewis.
Good yourself.
Not too bad, not bad. Getting there.
Good. I guess we'll just keep going. How was the dressing room come full time on Saturday, Lewis?
Well, there was a few arguments and stuff like that, but as you expect, we've just been beat. This is not probably the best way you want to be beat, but this is when you have the arguments, when you get in the bus, you kind of keep another cuddle and you kind of get on with it. Says that's football. So
I was going to say that as somebody who was never blessed with footballing talent myself, how quickly are those kind of arguments kind of cast aside? Is it by the time you're on the bus, or is it by the time Tuesday comes round, everything's forgotten?
I think it's straight away. Like everybody's got their own opinion. You've just got to accept it at times. Like you have the arguments, just give each another a cuddle and that shows. Like your teammates at the end of the day. So you just listen to each another, taking a chin. It's just just get on with it.
I guess as much as anything. Sorry, on you go, Laurence.
Can I just chuck in there that I'm guessing what Lewis is saying, that if you're a team that's close-knit, the arguments have got to go out the window fairly quickly, otherwise you've got a problem.
Exactly. Says I think the dressing room's really good anyway. I think we've got a very honest bunch of boys. Like, you know, probably Saturday wasn't the best of games. Says we all came in the change room and we're all disappointed as it was. Says everybody says a piece. Says you kind of taking a chin, just get on with it. Says you've got training Tuesday, you get back in, dust yourself down. Says you've got a big game coming Saturday. So we've got another wee derby. So you need to get up for these kind of games, don't you?
I guess as well that any arguments, any disagreements, it's just because the players, they all care.
Exactly. Says we all want to win. Says when you don't win, it kind of hurts you. And the situation we're in just now, like these things are always going to happen. Like, not as if it's going to like boil over. It just kind of takes its toll on you a wee bit. He says, but it's all about how you react for these kind of losses. And probably we've not reacted kind of the best way, like on the pitch. But the boys are always kind of trying to do better and stuff like that. So, like, it's not as if we've chucked it or anything like that. We're still want to win every game we can. Like, we believe that we will get out the position we're in just now.
Guess as well, and I appreciate this is all ifs and buts. But if Stranraer takes some of those chances in the first half, completely different ball game.
100%. Like, we always kind of knew we were going to be up against it in the second half. Like, you seen it in the first half, like how dominant we were at times. Says we knew if we could get kind of a goal, it gives us something to kind of hold on to. And although the second half, like, we were against the wind, I still felt as if we kind of no dominated as much, but we kind of had our spells. Like, it wasn't as if it was waves of attack constantly. Like, me and Big Ruffy, we were comfortable at times. So, like, you just kind of got to hope one of them have got to go away. Danny's hit a volley, says 9 times out of 10 that probably goes in. It's with the wind as well. Says I've hit the bar. Says I think I had one or two other ones. I think Kirky had one off the line as well. So, like, just one of the wee chances, it just needs to fall for you. And I think that's just our luck just now.
We've said about the weather, and there was probably a moment, maybe between 40 and 45 minutes, where you could see everyone in the stand moving further back because the rain was horrendous, the wind was horrendous.
Wait a minute here.
Well, we are being absolutely soaked here in the stand, so Lord knows how this is impacting the players.
I'm calling for summer football.
Is there a moment in a game like that where if the ball goes out to play, do you almost look at each other and think, my God, this weather's horrible?
I think we all came in at half time like that. So I don't think we've ever played anything like that as well. We made it worse. The referee stopped the game for about 5 minutes as well. So you were just standing there getting battered by rain, and it was freezing cold as well. So you were just stiffening up as well. So it wasn't great, but it's just one of these things. This is football. You just need to do your job and get on with it.
In terms of the bigger picture for yourself, obviously you were on loan at Stranraer last year for Queen's Park. I don't know, maybe you had a chance to go back there, maybe you had offers elsewhere. What was it about Stranraer that you obviously came back?
I think the big thing was, I kind of know the club as well. Probably the biggest part was the gaffer. Like, so I loved playing under the gaffer. Says the gaffer, Ginge, Gary, and now wee Martin as well. So I think that was a kind of big part as well. I enjoyed my football, whereas at Queen's Park, I'd never really got a run in the team. I didn't really feel as if I enjoyed it as much. Whereas I came to Stranraer and the gaffer put trust in me, kind of played me basically week in, week out. And I loved it. But in the summer there, I had a few offers, but only really was interested in Stranraer. And I only really, like, especially under the gaffer, I thought it's the only really place I want to play, especially under him as well.
How much is that feeling, and obviously you can only speak for yourself, but how much is that kind of feeling wanted, such a driving factor? Because obviously, as you say, you probably could have had clubs closer to home, maybe more money, but that feeling wanted and knowing that you'll be playing.
Exactly. Like, the gaffer, as soon as I told the gaffer that I wasn't staying at Queen's Park, he says he was desperate to keep me, and just that feeling says it just makes you feel so much better within yourself as well. And you kind of just want to do the best you can for him. So that was massive. Like, straight away, the gaffer's kind of desperate to keep you, and it's just that feeling that they want you there as well. So, and Stranraer's a very good club as well. Like, it's a very good club with very good people in it as well. So you're well looked after. So couldn't ask for much better.
In terms of this coming weekend, obviously it's a cup game. The league is the bread and butter. But does this kind of represent a possibility of kind of getting momentum going again, get a result, and it's what, 1 loss in 5?
Exactly. Says you kind of go into every game like that as well. So you want to win every game, and this one's just a wee bit bigger because it is Queen of the South, it is a wee derby. So says we want to win every game. We want to kind of try and get as much points as we can. I think we've done really well in the cup so far. Says don't know what it is. I think we've just played a wee bit better in there, like played better against the bigger teams anyway. So hopefully we come in on Saturday, get a wee win, and then we can build that momentum, get a few more results in the league as well, and it kind of kicks our season back on.
You've mentioned about it being a derby. How aware are the players of what it means to the Stranraer fans? The manager, the assistant, are they quick to let you know?
There's always a wee kind of comment or something throughout the week during training and stuff like that. We've got a big game coming up, so it's the same as Saturday there. So it kind of gives you that wee bit, no extra, but kind of gives you a wee bit more coming into the game, knowing that kind of you've got a good turnout for the crowd and it's a big game.
Hi Lewis, how you doing, mate?
Not bad, yourself?
I'm fine. Lewis, I wanted to ask you, I'll go back to Saturday. How hard is it to play in that wind. I mean, I give you man of the match because you had Tom Muir in your back pocket. But how hard is it to play in that? I mean, we're looking for the stands, and I think when the wind's up to 50, 55 miles an hour. How hard is it to play in that?
It's so hard, like, especially in the first half, like, you could probably kick the ball from our box to their box, like, it was, like, mental at times. But I suppose, like, see when you're against it, when you're up against it all the time, so you're defending, and it's just one of these things, you've just got to deal with it, kind of get used to it as well. It's hard playing out, especially, like, sometimes, like, although Josh wasn't kicking it far, he was still getting it in an area, and then it's got to get to the point where you win second balls, all that kind of stuff. It's just one of these kind of games. It's never going to be nice and high. It's never going to be pretty. So it's always going to be a battle in these kind of situations. And I felt as if for the most we kind of done that. It says it's just a wee lapse of concentration that kind of lost the game. But these things happen. Everybody makes mistakes.
I was going to say, Lewis, it's one lapse that's cost the game, but actually, before you come on, we've already given a list of the chances we had at the other end, especially in the first half. And
exactly.
It felt to me on Saturday as if first half we needed to score a goal, and okay, at half time I was pure raging because we hadn't scored a goal, but actually it was just bad luck in the first half with so many chances. But the second half, it felt as if. So I was saying to Brian, it felt as if we actually played. So it wasn't whether Stranraer or Annan coped with the wind better. It was actually we played better against the wind than we played with the wind. And we ended up with nothing as a result of it.
Exactly. She's like, you've just, like, in days like that, you've just kind of got to adapt very quickly. And I felt at times in the first half, like, you've kind of got to pepper their goal, especially with that wind. Kind of got to test their keeper out. And I didn't feel we kind of done enough in terms of like having shots and goal and stuff like that. We had a lot of territory round about their box and stuff. Says, but they defended really well, to be fair to them. Like, at times in that first half, they had 11 men behind the ball, and me and Murphy were in their half. Says, very rarely get that. So we probably never really done enough to kind of get them into like different positions that are not comfortable with, and then getting balls in the box. And we got a lot of set pieces as well, and we never really. Like, they were good at defending them. We could have probably done a wee bit better as well. And then at the end of the day, it's a set piece that's killed us. Like, in the second half, although we never created a lot of chances, we got into good areas and stuff like that. It's just that final ball that's kind of letting us down at times. So it's disappointing, but I felt as if we kind of played better on the ball in that second half, whereas you kind of have to, because there's no that kind of backup plan of going long, because it'll just come straight back at you.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, the second half, I was expecting Annan to be camped in our area the way we had in theirs, but that never ever happened. And
No,
one of
not
the
at all.
stats I've scribbled down, I might have missed some, but I've got Stranraer 11 corners to Annan's 4. So the set piece chances were there. It was just that many blooming defenders in the box. We couldn't pepper the goal.
Exactly. I think they played a 5 at the back as well, so it was always going to kind of be a wee bit more difficult when they've kind of got more bodies at the back as well. So, but they're the kind of situations you've got to deal with on the park. Like, us as players have got to take responsibility, and you've kind of got to take a wee bit of ownership and try and do something a wee bit different. Like, there's only so much the gaffer and the kind of coaching staff can do. Like, they can set you up a plan, but when you get on that pitch at the end of the day, it's down to you. And we probably never really done enough to kind of get the 3 points, to be fair.
Lewis, I wanted to ask you as well. Keith Watson obviously got an injury towards the end of the game. The game was probably stopped for a good 4 or 5 minutes. But quite apart from that, I think I'm right in saying there, keeper got booked for time wasting. There was a fair bit of what you would call game management going on. How hard is it for a team that's 1-0 down like us to deal with an opponent that is basically 1-0 up and just hell-bent on stopping the game at every cut and turn?
Exactly, it's difficult because you can't really build any sort of momentum within the game. So, like, any time the ball goes out, any time somebody gets injured, they'll be down for 2-3 minutes. Yeah. That's like good for, like, in their terms, it's smart and stuff like that. But for us, it's frustrating because if you can build a bit of momentum, you kind of start to get pepper their goal a wee bit. But on Saturday, like, as soon as they went 1-0 up, they slowed the game right down. We just couldn't properly get a rhythm into our game. We couldn't get our creative boys on the ball a lot, like Dom and Jamesy. So it was hard, but these are the things, like when you do get the ball, you've got to go and create something. I think there was once or twice we kind of got to the byline, we've kicked the ball at the pitch twice, so like we kind of didn't, like we need to be doing better in these situations, like it's not about down to them time wasting and stuff like that. It says when you do get the ball, we have to go and create something, take a wee bit of ownership, and we never done that.
Just be nice for us some week to be in that position that we're 1-0 up, we can waste time and
Exactly.
just a wee bit.
We've not had that so far this season, so that's what I mean. Nothing we want. It says we want to go 1-0 up and defending the lead, but like,
Say, even Dumbarton, it was that late in the game. We didn't have time waste.
Exactly. It says they came right up the pitch and had 2 corners. It was backs against the wall. I was like, here we go again. So
No, that is brilliant, Lewis. Thank you very much for joining us.
no, thanks for having me. Thank you very much, guys.
And
Cheers, Lewis.
see him get stuck into that crowd on Saturday.
I will do it always. Right. Thank you very much, guys.
Hey, Lewis.
Cheers,
Cheers, bud.
Bye.
Thank you.
To go back to Saturday, Brian, in terms of the starting lineup, obviously the week before we got the win at Dumbarton. Were you surprised when you turned up at Stair Park on Saturday and found 2 changes?
No, not really. The circumstances. I was I quite thought we'd see Darren because he got quite a lot of minutes at Dumbarton, and for the word was he played really well, and no disrespect to Ryan, but Ryan, he's no been scoring. I think he's scored twice this calendar year, so I mean I was expecting a change up top, and I firmly believe Darren is our best option of a goal, because he is a top goal scorer at the club. I was looking at his stats actually. I was quite amazed. He's only scored 1 less goal than Andy Sterling has at the club in all comps, and he's played half the games. But and I know Andy was a winger, but I found that quite interesting because you thought Andy scored a right few goals for us, but I thought it was quite an interesting start. But I think Darren might get a run in the team now because he looks to be back to fitness. And as I say, I think he's the one who can give us a goal. Corey has not done it. He'll maybe give him a chance later down, in the season, but he's just not done it, I'm afraid. And he might bring him back on Saturday, I don't know. But I wasn't that surprised about the team.
Now, obviously, we're speaking about Darren there, Laurence. Everybody totally entitled to their opinion. No issue with that whatsoever. Fair to say Darren's maybe getting a little bit of criticism online.
Gets a little bit of criticism online. I have to be honest and say primarily most of it is from one person. As you say, Cameron, everybody's entitled to their view. I think when you get one person coming online repeatedly, having a go at one player, it starts to get a bit much. And actually what you then find is that most weeks, most other people just stay away from it or kind of gently wind that person up. I think Brian went online on Sunday after that and he looked at Darren's performance, and I can't argue him. There's absolutely no shortage of effort with Darren, given the fact that I'm right. Was that Darren's certainly his first league start for his first start for us after injuries, gradually been building up the amount of time that he's playing. On Saturday I would struggle to find an out chance that Darren had. Try to think back. But I've got no issues with the work rate that Darren put in. And if I was a defender, I wouldn't like to come up against his determination. I've said it on here before. Physically, he looks much fitter and more physical than he did under Aggie. He's pushed on in terms of physical fitness and capability. One observation I would make a bit up front is I was criticising Sal late in the game for the one that might have been a cross, might have been a shot, but actually I would like to see Sal getting some more game time because he's one of the players we've got, and Darren's actually another one that can frighten defenders with a bit of pace. Other players have got different things in their armoury, shall we say, but one of the things that Sal's got, you just have to think back about the previous game. We're going to come on to Queen of the South shortly, but one of the things you think back to Sal's, the goalkeeper of Queen of the South, taking Sal out because twice he went away up that left wing and twice he had their defence all over the shop, basically. So I'd like to see Sal getting a bit more game time got nothing against Darren starting up front. Equally, Ryan, I think they all bring different things. So I've quite often said Sal and Ryan or Sal and Darren might work because Ryan in particular, he harasses defences. He's got the physical attributes. Sal's got the pace. So I think we've got different armories or different weapons to bring to bear up front. At the moment, we just need one of them to start actually hitting the net, I guess.
Sticking with yourself, Laurence, and looking at the other end of the park, thoughts on the goal?
Aye, Brian nailed his colours to the mast right away. Thought there was a push on Josh. To be honest, looking at it again and again and again, I think Josh just lost the flight of the ball, if I'm being honest. I don't think it didn't look. Josh can come on and tell me I'm wrong, and I'll quite happy to listen to it, but it didn't look as if there was that much contact with the defender. One of the defenders ran across the front of him, and it might have been a distraction, but I would still have expected him to get the ball. Now, as we said when Lewis was on, that was one lapse. That ultimately cost us a couple of points because we were heading for a draw, at least at that point. But actually, if you're Josh, you can quite happily turn around and look at the chances that are missed at the other end. So, and equally, look at the number of saves that Josh has pulled off already for us this season. So I ain't going to have a go at him. I just thought it was a wee miss, basically.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that Josh has bailed us out on plenty of occasions. Brian, your thoughts on the goal?
Absolutely. I mean, I went with Josh's reaction. I said, well, it must have been something, but he's obviously, felt something. And he's just, was it wind assisted? I don't know. It was a wicked ball, right enough, but he's misjudged it, and it's fell right to the Annan player, as Jim said in his interview. Would that happen to Stranraer? We don't know, but it fell right to the Annan player, and he just popped it away. And I think that was probably the only way both teams were going to score through set pieces, because there wasn't a lot of. I think Gaffney had a couple of chances, you said earlier on, Cameron, in the second half, but apart from that, and Danny McManus's volley for the edge of the box, I can't remember too much.
Kirk had one that went maybe a foot over. That's
yeah. I think it was set pieces. It was the main gist of the game, wasn't it?
I'm going to ask you a stupid question here, Laurence. So I'm hoping it makes sense. Obviously, you don't want to
5-0 for Stranraer.
Obviously, you don't want to lose a game. Never want to lose a game. But is it more frustrating that we're losing narrowly against a team that, again, I don't want this to sound like sour grapes, that a team that's not necessarily any better than us. If we were losing 4-5, 6-0 to teams that were streets ahead, you kind of hold your hands up. Is it frustrating that we're by and large matching teams but coming away with nothing?
I think that is a big frustration. We were in the car together on Saturday night and we were talking about the fact that actually, man for man, I think our squad is stronger than last season, stronger than the season before, stronger than the season before. It's the strongest one we've had for at least 4 or 5 years. They're capable of so much more. It is frustrating, and I guess the fact that we're only losing 1-0 shows you that actually we're not a pushover. I'm not saying I want to be losing every week 4 or 5-0, but I think by this stage, if we were losing every week 4 or 5-0, you'd think we're just rotten. We're bottom of the table. It's not going to happen. But actually, there is so much hope and what's the word I'm looking for? There are prospects in that squad. There's things can happen with that squad, and that's why I'm frustrated that we're losing games that we should never have lost that game on Saturday in a million years. We really shouldn't. Any neutral coming in, analysing the possession, analysing the shots off target, analysing the shots on target, the corners, everything else. You can make an argument that Wally and Stevie maybe played it cleverer than we did, I don't know. But equally, if any of our chances had gone in, they would have to be an Einstein to actually beat us.
It's a question I don't want to ask, Brian, and it's something that I certainly hope that I'm not asking this every week. Is the manager under pressure?
You asked a couple of weeks ago, Carl. No, I mean, we know where the problem is, and it doesn't take Brian Martin or Laurence Nelson to tell Tiff where the problem is. It's going forward. The defence is absolutely fine, but I'm going to contradict myself here. We've conceded in every league game. So the defence is good, but we can't keep conceding because you need two to win the game. But we know where the problem is. I mean, we spoke about it 2 or 3 weeks ago. Tiff tried to rectify it with bringing Corey O'Donnell in. It hasn't happened for him, so Tiff has seen the problem, and I think it might be quite a good thing. We're only going to play one league game now till early November, because to try and get them to sort something out going forward. I mean, we seem to play better away from home than what we are at home at times. We're really good against Dumbarton. I wasn't there, but what I hear, we were really good. We were good against East Kilbride, lost the game ultimately, but we were good. And we were good against Stirling Albion, but lost the game. So, I mean, it's getting this win, when you're playing well, the same Saturday. But, Tiff and Ginger, experienced football men, they know they've got to get results. I mean, that's the bottom line with fans. It doesn't matter whether you play like Brazil in 74, or 70, should I say. If you don't get results, the fan will run your back. And if you don't get those 3 points, it doesn't matter how well you play. And Tiff and Ginger, I'm quite sure, they know the problem. And we were talking about strikers there. None of the midfield, apart from Mark Russell, who scored 3 penalties, none of the midfield have scored, or the defence. And you need people like that, to come in. They've scored in the cup games, but in league games, they haven't scored. So you need more help from your midfield. I mean, and I know it was Mark Russell himself scored, what is it, maybe 6 or 7 last season out of the box, but maybe not as many as that. But he did score quite a few, and in previous seasons we've had Gallagher used to get the odd win, various players used to get the odd goals from midfield, but we're not producing. Whether we need to get more adventurous at home, I don't know, but it's a problem for Tiff, but he knows, and James knows, they've got to start getting results.
Obviously, when James Dolan scored, usually a midfielder, but was pushed up front for the Dumbarton game. I'll come to you, Laurence. The $64,000 question, I guess. How do we score more goals?
Well, I want to pick Brian Martin up on one thing. Brazil was 74. Scotland should have beaten them. But again, the problem Scotland had that day was they couldn't score. Finished 0-0. 1 goal, we would have beaten the world champions. $64,000 question, Martin. Cameron, did you say how do we score more goals?
How do we score more goals?
How do we score more goals?
Is it as simple as having more shots, or is that too simplistic?
That's certainly what we moan about week in, week out. So there was one spell on Saturday where, and I think Lewis mentioned this to us at Stair Park after the game on Saturday, there was certainly one move I remember on Saturday where the ball went between about 4 or 5 Stranraer players along the 18-yard line or along about 20, 22 yards out. And it's like, Lewis was saying himself a few minutes ago, we didn't pepper their keeper enough. And I think we've seen that in Stranraer teams for the last few years. I don't know whether it's the lack of out-and-out strikers or what it is, but there seems to be this, or whether it's a confidence thing. And let's be honest, we've not had the most confident teams for the last few years. That, you get confidence, you just try a shot from anywhere. And you hear us saying regularly, it's worth a go, it's worth a pot. And that kind of goes on until it gets to about 80 minutes, then we'll look, why are they shooting there, or why they're not passing, or why are they not shooting, I think we just need to try and persuade some of the players to try their luck a wee bit more, not daftly, but once you get to about that 20-yard mark, especially Saturday, there's a crowded box. I was saying that the box was that crowded we couldn't pepper the keeper, but it just takes a rebounder off somebody's bum, and it's in the net, and it's worth a go.
I guess, Brian, it's all about decision making, and we hear managers say that week in, week out. That we're not saying if somebody's kind of out wide to have a shot for the sake of having a shot, but equally, if you are 12 yards out with the goal in front of you, stop looking for a pass, have a shot. It's all about choosing the right thing at the right time, I guess.
I think especially Saturday, Cameron, we didn't. As Lewis said there, we didn't pepper enough with shots. Right enough. Annan didn't pepper us with shots either, but we didn't. We were the top team, in the first half, and I think we should have been raining shots right, left, and centre. I don't know how good the goalkeeper is. I think he's just a young kid, so you test him right, left, right, left, and centre. If you did, but we didn't. And as you say, I mean, nobody fault you for a shot, unless I mean, you're a long way out and it goes high over the bar. But I mean, if you're 18-yard box, I mean, why not have a pop?
I think that's probably enough about Saturday. Looking
Yeah.
ahead to this weekend, Lawrence, where does this rank in terms of kind of priorities for you?
This is a tough one to rank because effectively, you've heard me saying before, the Challenge Cup, the only priority I can see with the Challenge Cup this season is getting a few quid into the club. We get through to the next round, we get a good few quid. We get through to the one after that, we get a lot more. We're almost there. It would be really, it would take a mad set of results now to deny us getting into the next round. So therefore, it comes way, way, way down the rankings in terms of priorities until you look at the opponents. And it's Queen of the South. We hadn't, what was it, Brian? We hadn't beaten them for 19 years until we
Yeah,
beat them
something like that.
earlier in the summer. My God, I'm sure they've got a set of results, a set of excuses already. In case it happens again, it's just the Challenge Cup. Nobody cares about it. But let's be honest. Even the guys who were going on about how we'd widened the pitch or something the previous game, the grass was too long. We're let the tyres down, all that kind of nonsense. None of these things actually happened. I would underline. Even these guys from Dumfries, if they win this Saturday, they'll be straight online after the game. Like, get it right up, it was just a momentary blip, that game in August. So it's a hard one. I'm desperate to beat them on Saturday, and probably they're desperate to beat us, but probably because it's the Challenge Cup, it will be a bit easier at the end of the game if we don't, to say, well, and I suppose what I will keep aside for Saturday is if we don't win, well, we beat you in the more important cup. So, get lost. So I've not really answered your question, I know.
That's all right. In terms of this weekend, obviously prior to playing them earlier in the season, we hadn't played them in a few years, and obviously it'd been a few years since we'd beaten them as well. Does it still have the same appeal for you this time around as earlier in the season? Because obviously we played them not that long ago, or would you be quite happy beating Queen of the South 7 days a week?
I think it still has the same appeal for me. It's not as strong as it was in the summer. I think the fact that we beat them, I don't remember the drive home after that one in the summer. It was just like, yes, it's been so long in coming. So yeah, it still has a hell of a lot of appeal for me. I would probably admit that there are a generation of Stranraer fans below me that they maybe know it's Dumfries, they want to beat Dumfries, but it's not quite the same as it was for the guys who were at the games in the 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties who were playing them all the time. There was one season in the noughties where we beat them 4 times in the league.
Yep.
So, they're still up there on the mantelpiece.
What about yourself, Brian? Where does this weekend rank for you in terms of the priorities?
Oh, it's the third, priority. You have a good run in the Scottish Cup, but as Lawrence says, it's good money, Cammy. So I mean, I think we're qualified. There's no much doubt. But if you win the game on Saturday, you're probably guaranteed to finish in the top 8. So it gives you a wee bit of a chance to progress. I think we play St Mirren B, for the last game in this big section league or whatever they call it. So I mean, a win plus, I mean, as you said earlier on, confidence-wise, gives you a bit more confidence going into the game against Edinburgh the following week. Although it's not really happened that way that many times this season. We've won in these games and not really kicked on. But any win's good, I think. Against Queen of the South, it's always sweet. But I guess it's probably the third competition apart from the league. League's obviously.
I think the Scottish Cup and the League Cup as well.
Yeah, I think you're right, Lauren. I'm sure that's 4.
Let's be honest, Brian. If we play them at Tiddlywinks, we want to beat them.
Yeah, you want to beat them. Just to go back to Saturday one more time, Cameron. That's it. Well done to Colin Agnew well done to Colin for the park. I thought it was looking absolutely splendid. For all the rain he'd had, and the man did a great job to get the game on. But we love to beat Queen of the South, and if we beat them on Saturday, it'll just be sweet. I'm quite sure.
We get them to keep.
Yep, get them to keep.
based on that, and I know that the manager, and we've said it before in terms of the strength of the squad, how strong a team would you put out? Would you make changes, Brian, or would you kind of stick with as much as we could? Obviously, I imagine Sean Docherty might be missing, but would you stick with as much as we could from the weekend?
I imagine it might be the same type of game we're going to get against Edinburgh City the following week. They might have a lot of possession. They're a League One side. They play some nice tippy-tappy stuff, as I call it, and they might have a bit of possession. I've got a notion they might try that. Well, obviously Gillis will be missing again. Cap McKnight will probably play it right back. Call or Ekrapont at left back. I mean, I'm either or. I don't mind that. But I mean, it gives them a chance to bring Quigg back in, Stewart back in. You'd think Russell will be on the left hand side again, and McManus probably on the right hand side. Plank will be missing. He's also I think he's cup tied, isn't he? So he can't play. So probably McManus on the right hand side. Again, I would play Darren up top, along with Dolan. I think that'd be my team. Probably could be a 4-3-3 I think I seen that. I looked at his formation when he beat Edinburgh City when he first came to the club, and it was a 4-1-4-1. So whether he plays the same formation, he might be thinking about Edinburgh. It gives him it gives the players good practice for it. But I think he'll field a strong team, because, as I say, if we win the game, you're almost guaranteed, if you beat St Mirren, to be in that top 8. And I'm quite sure the club will be looking forward to the 30-40k they get later on.
What about yourself, Laurence?
I was just going to caution, I think St Mirren B are probably one of the better of the B teams, although, so let's not take it for granted. But it would take a special set of results now to knock us out, if you like. It's a weird one, Cameron, because, as I said earlier on, it sounds like a stupid argument from me, but I actually think no matter who he chooses in the squad, it's quite a strong lineup. I think we've got a strong squad. But then anybody looking on will think you're off your head. You've got 5 points in the league. You're not winning games. You're not scoring goals. But actually, I think we've got so many players who are interchangeable. It kind of almost doesn't bother me who he chooses. Although there is this ongoing grumbling argument among some of the fans that find your strongest 11 and stick to it. There's a school of thought that he should be doing that, and that's what's going wrong. I don't know. I think that might well be a chance to try out different players. As Brian said, the two Hearts kids are cup tied at stroke away on international duty. And by the way, good luck for Scotland under 19s playing against Italy. That's some trip to be involved in. And it was amazing to see the list of Scotland players, like Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Aberdeen, Stranraer, Celtic. It was quite amazing. So good luck for Matty for that one. So in some ways I'm not really that bothered who he chooses, but actually it might be good to give game time to one or two of the ones that haven't had quite as much.
So I think I've closed each podcast with this question. Aaron Quigg obviously scored the only goal the last time the two sides met. Can we do it again, Brian?
Oh, absolutely. There's no reason why we can't. And I would like to see the Queens line up. I think he might rest one or two because they've a few injury problems, and the league's their main concern. I know that the KDM Cup could be quite a profitable thing for him as well, but I think he has got 2 injuries, so he might rest a few. I think we've got every chance. As far as Quigg concerned, that's only we argue with Tiff. I would play Quigg every day of the week. But that's Tiff's priority. But I mean, Lawrence is saying about chopping and changing. I mean, to me, it's quite simple why he's chopping and changing, because he's not getting a winning team. Yeah. If you win a game, you'll play the same team, and if they win, you'll play the same team. But he's trying to find a formula, to get that winning team. And I feel quite sorry for him.
Yeah.
Because we can see the players are playing for him. And it's just getting that 2 or 3 wins in the league, but Saturday's first. Let's hope we beat the old Doonhamers.
Absolutely.
What about yourself, Lawrence? Do you go in optimistic?
I go in optimistic. In some ways, it's a funny one. In some ways, it's a no-lose situation unless we were to get a hiding. I don't want to lose 2-1 to Queens or 3-1 to Queens, but they're a League One side. We've beaten them already. You'd expect them to be coming looking to get the win this time. If Peter Murphy chooses not to come looking for the win and rest players, that's up to him. You can only beat what's in front of you, and I'm sure we can do that. I actually just wanted to finish before we go a warning for Brian Martin. Something I heard on the news tonight, and something that should concern Brian. Less so myself, because I'm obviously quite sensible about these things, but Weymouth in England have sacked their commentary team, their commentator. And they sacked their match commentator because he criticised the board for leaving their games early. And he gets stuck into them saying, you can't hide from this, it's your doing, the results are down to you. So he went off and one, criticised the board, and then promptly got sacked. So I guess the warning to Brian is, watch who you criticise in commentary, and the warning to George Frank as well as, for God's sake, George, don't leave early because we can't work the camera.
So what you're trying to say, Laurence, I can't say Cosmo, I can see you sneaking out. No.
Cosmo just sneaks up the sideline for a fag, that's why he's still there. He's always still there.
On that note, we look forward to Saturday, and fingers crossed everyone can get out and cheer on Stranraer to another victory.